Hello everyone, welcome back to the Saint Cyril channel. There was something I said in one of my old videos, and I said that Christians are taken care of. In a sense, we don't have to worry because of the mindset we adopt. And today I'm going to be elaborating on what I said there, because it truly does feel, ever since I converted, there's nothing I need to worry about. Everything is taken care of by God. Of course, an atheist may hear this and just be absolutely confused, just thinking that I'm lying. But I'm going to break that down because obviously it's not like God Himself is doing everything and taking care of me and I have no worries. However, through God, from what I do, and from the mindset I have, I know what needs to be done, and therefore everything is done through me but from God. And I'll explain. There's a passage in the New Testament, the Gospel of Matthew, in chapter 6, verses 25 to 34. And now in this, it says that God will provide for us all the necessities of life, and tells us to not worry about these necessities in life. The necessities being water, food, clothes, because the Father in heaven knows that we need these things as humans, and that He will surely provide it for us, given we have faith. Then it goes on saying, just as God takes care of the birds of the air or the lilies of the field, He will surely take care of you or provide for you. This is a hard concept to believe, but in a practical sense, I'll explain it, and I'll explain why it's true. So, if you are faithful to Jesus and obey His words as commanded, or in other words, if you are seeking to live righteously and properly, then the less you will need to worry. And here's why. Seeking to be righteous means many different attributes. To list a few, being diligent, patient, courageous, and accountable, among many other virtues that will guarantee you no worries if you apply being righteous in your day-to-day life. And this is because if you're living righteously, you're living properly. If you're living properly in this human existence, then you'll always have your necessities taken care of. I hope that makes sense, because God provides for us, given we have faith. We must be faithful to Jesus in what He says, and in doing that, that means we are righteous, and because we're righteous, we're living properly, and by living properly in this human existence, we no longer need to worry about the necessities of life, because it's taken care of. You do good, good comes back to you. A good action will always have a good result, and therefore, being faithful to God means the necessities of life are taken care of, and in other words, are provided for you. So this is the Christian philosophy, but it doesn't need to be applied to Christians alone, because we see it throughout the world, with all the successful people. They have these attributes, and they may not view it in the same way that I just explained, but they still carry themselves in the same way. For example, the successful person almost always has a good network of people that admire him or respect him. And this is because the successful person has likely done something good for the people in his network. And because of that, these people now respect him enough to give him money, to buy whatever service he may be providing or whatever business he may be running. You don't support someone you don't like, typically. As Christians, we do. But in the general sense, you're more likely to serve someone you like. And now, I know in the sense of successful people, there's good money and you have bad money. And with that being said, let's take a look at the bad money. Obviously, the network scenario still applies in the sense that this person's network is going to respect the successful individual. From that is still going to be successful, even though they may be doing stuff that's not good or evil. You probably see that with celebrities, because their friend group likes them, obviously. Given where they're set in whatever organization they're in, they maintain their success. But for the common person, if you're cruel, lazy, or you scam people, then people aren't going to like you. And with that being said, since they don't like you, they're not going to support you. They're not going to want to support you. It's like if you're rude, I've never wanted to be around a rude person, an unpleasant person. And of course, if word goes around, it's like, oh, this is Joe. He is rude and a very unpleasant person to be around. Bosses won't want to hire Joe. People won't want to associate with Joe. Now, Joe can redeem himself, but it's the reputation. And with that being said, since Joe is not a likable character, he'll have to worry about the necessities of life, things he needs to buy, general necessities. Someone that's really well connected, pleasant, they have people to rely on in the case if an emergency comes up and they need to go somewhere to stay for a few days. They're covered. The unpleasant person, though, he's on his own. He's got to fend for himself. He's got to worry. Eventually that leads to poverty. And it's like, if you associate with people and you're dishonest, you're rude, you're unpleasant, you're not going to be associating for them for long because they're going to leave. So, like, you want to be pleasant in everything you do. Practice the righteousness. People will come to you because you're positive. It's very simple. Even though it's like hard to grasp at first, it's like, oh, how's God going to provide for you? You align yourself with God by not being sinful. And of course, you kind of see this like a spectrum. One side being bad, one side being good. You probably fall somewhere in the middle, but you want to lean more towards the good. So no one's perfect. And of course, no one is like absolutely evil, even though it probably is, but they're like in prison or something. So you want to not be towards the bad, you want to be towards the good, and you'll still see the good results. And the more good you are, the more God provides for you. If that makes sense. Every action you do has an equal and opposite reaction. That's Newton's third law. So let's say you're 60% good. You're going to be rewarded in proportion to how good you are. But that means you're 40% bad. So that means you're going to still get 40% bad results from what you do, if that makes sense. It's like the more bad you are over a long enough time frame, it's going to come around and bite you. It's like if you scam people, eventually someone's going to give you a lesson, right? It's just the way the world works. And it's clearly outlined in the Bible. So to put it simply, our world relies on us knowing people, to trust people to do what they ought to do the right thing. So I encourage you, you may think you're a good person, but just like the spectrum, the more you align yourself with good, and of course, God being the highest good, you will not have to worry. Walk the righteous path. And this is so that you and the ones that you love won't have to worry. I encourage you to walk with God and go against our sinful natures. The pleasures of the present, or quick pleasures like scrolling on TikTok, Instagram, going and getting fast food instead of cooking. You want the delayed gratification. It's another way to look at it. You have to do things you do not like because you get a good result from doing what you don't like. It takes sacrifice. It's another way to look at it. You got to do your due diligence. So, like Jesus says, the truth is written on our hearts, because I think everyone inherently knows this, but we struggle to do what's right just because it takes effort. So, if you could learn the difference between right and wrong, sinful and righteous, and then practice righteous as best as you can, then put simply, you will not need to worry. And of course, the best way to find right and wrong in every scenario is the Bible, because it shows stories, parables, texts of wisdom, put simply in Proverbs. It lists out, essentially, in every story or every parable, virtues and sins. You have right and wrong. So I hope you like that video, and I think it should give some clarification on how we're kind of like provided for because of the mindset we adopt from the teachings from this. So it's all about how you treat people, and from how you treat people, how they treat you or want to treat you. Because that's all this world really is, really. So with that being said, thank you for watching. And I'll definitely see you in the next one. Take care.